Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome.
Happy Tuesday, Abby.
Happy Tuesday, Miss Rachel. How are you doing today?
Fabulous. It is a snuggly day here in Texas, like just enough sun, but it's gorgeous outside. So, doing well.
Oh, yay. It's good. It's good. It's starting to warm up in Missouri. I'm like, oh, summer's coming. I love summer so much.
Oh, I am a
Hey.
summer girl all the way. It
Yeah.
hit 95 last week, and we got to go to the pool, soaking it up. It was
Oh,
so
so
good.
good. Hey, we're going to talk about quitting your VA business today.
What?
We talk a lot here in the group and on YouTube and everywhere about how to start a virtual assistant business. So it might seem a little strange that we're going to be talking about quitting your virtual assistant business. But here is the reality. For many of you guys, you are killing it in your businesses, right? Like you have a full roster of clients, your calendar is booked, but you may feel incredibly overwhelmed. Like for some of you, you're like, I did it. I sold out my services. I am like living the VA dream life. And you are freaking exhausted. So, and we see this happen time and time again. So, what happens when you reach the point in your business where maybe you're considering quitting, right? Or maybe you're considering like, I know like I've built this financial freedom for myself, but there has to be something else because 24/7 exhaustion is not the answer. It is not the business I was looking for. So, what do you do when you have sold out your services? What do you do when you have that full client roster, but you're not exactly living like that dream life you would have hoped? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And Rachel, I'm so excited to dive in with it with you about this because we've actually been working with students for about a year now. The people who were at that point in business, right? They were making a few $1,000s a month, but they're like, oh my gosh, like number one, I feel like I've reached an income cap,
Yeah.
right? I feel like I can't make any more money because I'm like already working as hard as I could possibly work. So they're looking for how to scale their business, but in a way that doesn't lead to even more exhaustion, right? So we're going to be diving into that. I'm so excited. But before we get started, I want to note if any of you guys are at that point in your business, right, where like you have clients, this thing is happening, but you want to know how do I scale even further without more exhaustion, definitely sign up for this free webinar training that we have coming up. It's going to be really, really good. We're going to be talking about how to scale your business. It's actually our 6 steps to scale webinar training. You do have to apply. It's a free training, but it's only, we want to make sure that the people who are in this training are the people who are at this point in business because if you're still focusing on marketing and getting clients, we have trainings for you. We can drop links to that in the chat, but this is specifically for people who are like, man, I am at a point in business where I am just exhausted and overwhelmed, but still wanting to scale. So, Rachel, anything to say about the training before we go on?
No, yeah, don't totally apply. There's some information on that page. You can learn more about why the application. There's some FAQs on there. Check out that page after we're done chatting today. And then that live training is happening on May the 10th. So today's live is part of our amazing burnout series that we've put together for the next 3 Tuesdays, today included and the next 2 following. We're going to talk about that feeling of being burnt out in your business and the steps looking forward to scaling your business. So totally check out that application page, virtualsavvy.com/apply, learn more about the training, fill out that application, and then save the date for May the 10th at noon if you are approved to attend that live training.
For sure. So, like Rachel mentioned, we're going to be diving in. This is a 3-week burnout series. So it's a 3-week series on like, hey, I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling burnt out. Maybe you came into 2022 with like a lot of momentum and you're like, yeah, this is my year. And now that it's April, you're like, and I'm exhausted and I don't know what to do from here. So no matter where you're at in business, I'm excited because we are going to be talking about some kind of advanced feelings, advanced levels of business. But it's a good thing, I think, for people to hear even from the very beginning, because it's like, oh, this is like what I have. When I hit this point, I'm going to know that it's normal, right? And I think,
go ahead, Abby. I have a thought when you're done.
No, that's it. Go.
Yeah, I think too, what I want to say is this is a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
if you're getting to the point where you're feeling burnt out and your schedule is packed, that doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. It
Yeah.
means just the opposite. It's you've done something right.
Yes.
And so now you're getting to the point where I'm maxed out. I can't make any more income. I need help. I'm feeling exhausted, all of those things. This is a good place to be. And so we're just getting to this point to reevaluate what are the shifts and changes and pivots that I need to make to be able to move forward. And that's kind of where we are in quitting your VA business that we're talking about today.
Yes. So, um, here's the thing, guys. Like Rachel said, this is totally normal. So if you are at this point where you're feeling exhausted, I think that is the first thing to realize is that this is actually a phase in your business. And we've been talking about kind of like business life cycles a little bit at the
Mhm.
Virtual Savvy and realizing that, okay, there's kind of this launch mode where you're getting started, you're starting to get clients, you're figuring it out. And then it's like once you figure out marketing, once you figure out, oh, this is how to get clients, then you're doing it. Like you're doing the thing, you're running the business and you're going and you're going and you're going. And it's a normal point to
Mhm.
hit that place of like, oh, now I'm overwhelmed. And now, and knowing that that is actually part of the business journey, I think is comforting. Maybe it is to me, at least, to be like, oh, it's not that I did something wrong. It's that I did something right. And these are the
Mhm.
kinds of problems that I can expect at this point in business. And now I just like you had maybe the problem of like, how do I market? How do I get my first client? I'm struggling, and you worked through that struggle. This is the next struggle, right? And it's kind of like, yay, you've advanced to like the next level in business where you have every single point is going to have new struggles. So it's
Mhm.
just like, oh, now I've reached this point and these are the struggles I have to figure out now, right? So I think just knowing that it's perfectly normal
Mhm.
is the first part that we have to kind of like grasp and be okay with.
Absolutely. And you're going to see not only is it normal, but it repeats itself. Kind of what
Mm.
you were talking about, Abby. Like this problem is going to resurface again and again as you continue to grow and scale your business. So it's learning right now at this first change, when you're growing and scaling your business, how to work through those challenges, how to pivot your business to move forward. Because when this comes up again, as it will, you already know how to handle it and work through that challenge and that pivot.
100%. And what's so cool about it is that each new phase in business that you reach, it's like, okay, this first time is this, okay, let me launch my business and just the scare, like the scariness of launching your business and what happens when you do it. Like it's so
Mhm.
scary, but you face it. And what you get in return is that feeling of like pride, that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I did something
Mhm.
scary and it wasn't so bad. So you get more confidence is like the result of that. And then your next struggle is like, okay, how do I get clients? And you start to learn how to market and you start to learn how to sell your services and how to do discovery calls and all of the things. And it's scary and it's difficult at first, but then you're like, oh, what's on the other side of it? The other side of it is like money, right? Like you actually start making money, which is why you started this whole thing, right? And then at the next phase of business is just like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Like I'm working so much and I feel like my time is spread really thin. And that's the next challenge. But what I love is what's on the other side of that is not just
Mhm.
financial freedom, but time freedom. And if you can like grow through this phase of business, what's on the other end is that actual like, oh my gosh, now I have finances and
Mhm.
I have like time freedom too. And I
Mhm.
think that that is one of the most satisfying places in business to be is because
Mhm.
it's just like, oh, this is like why I did this, because none of us just did it for money, right? We did this because we wanted the financial freedom and the time freedom. Those two things combined are usually what's going to help you get to your why, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm just really excited for anybody. Is anybody like, yes, I'm hearing this, I'm feeling this, this is
Mhm.
totally where I'm at in business? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point as you were talking, Abby. I was thinking, we have to revisit and refocus when we feel that burnout, when we feel that exhaustion, when we question ourselves, when we're working what feels like 24/7. This is not why I created my
Yeah.
business. This is not what I wanted. Like revisiting and refocusing back on the why, because you're 100% right, Abby. Once you get to that other side, that's where it is. You get a taste of it when you launch your business and you get that first, second, third client, right? You get a taste of that other side. But once you grow and scale your business, that's where that true financial and flexibility really starts to settle in. And so revisiting that why. In fact, tell us in the comments, like, why did you start your virtual assistant business, and refocus back to that.
I love it. So let's do this. There are 3 identifiers that we have found of people who are kind of in this phase. So we're going to talk about those 3 identifiers and let us know if one of these is totally like, yes, this is me. This is what I'm feeling. 3 identifiers that mean that you're ready to scale. Okay. And if you meet one of these 3 identifiers, then we know it's time to scale your business. So then we can talk about a little bit of what does scaling actually look like, and we'll be talking about that in the coming weeks as well. But okay, so let us know if you can identify any of these. Number 1 is that you're feeling stuck in your business. Rachel, you are in there hands-on with our students all the time, and especially with our students in our Savvy Circle program, which is our advanced program for people who are already making money but are looking to scale their business. So what happens in this phase? Like, I just tell us a little bit about what it means to be in this stuck in my business phase.
Yeah, this is definitely something that we dive into right away at the very beginning of Savvy Circle. And like Abby said, Savvy Circle is our advanced group coaching program for those who are actively working at scaling their business. And so we attack this idea of being stuck in your business and really focusing on what is your specialty? What is your signature offer? We teach you inside of Savvy System, right, to just start where you can. What are any tasks that you can do right now as a general VA to get out there, get those warm bodies to pay you money to start building your business? And that's where we start. But what we need to do when we get stuck and don't know where to move forward, what's my specialty? Who am I? What is my specialization? We need to dive into that more so that you can create that signature offer that can be systematized and scaling.
So good. So being stuck in your business is like when I feel like a lot of times people think, or like the reality is like, I can't like take a vacation because I'm the cog. Like, I am the piece that moves the whole system. So like, it's just me. Like, if I don't show up, my clients aren't going to get their stuff done. So like, yeah, I'm stuck, and I can't really make more money because I don't have any more time. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the worst feelings, is just like, okay, cool. Like, I am making money and that's awesome, but I want to make more money or I want to have more time, but I can't because I can't have more time because I'm working so hard. Like, me working is what brings it, right? Like, me working so hard is what brings in the money. So I can't have more time, but I also can't have more money because I don't have the time to bring in any more clients. Like, it's literally like the definition of being stuck is just like, yep, nowhere else to go.
Yeah, if we were to say to you, hey, we have 10 new leads, could you take them? If the answer is no, you're probably stuck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even, could you take 5? Could you take 2? Right? Like, really kind of identifying, am I stuck to the point of I can't serve any more people? I can't bring any more money into the business.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Madison was she's feeling this. She's like, yes, my entire trip to Mexico, I was just anxious about my clients the entire time. And like, I get it. And thank you for being real about that, Madison, because I feel like so many of us in this phase of business, we feel that. It's like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go on a vacation. The whole time we're like, checking my email. I'm so sorry. There's this one emergency. I can't go like lay in the sun with you because I got to do this. I got to post this thing that I forgot to schedule. And it's just like, oh no, that's not why we did this. Right. And so just know that you're not alone. And that is totally like a normal thing to have happened. Like, I almost think that we all need the, like, I worked on vacation to have the reality of like, this is not what I want to do. I've done it. I get there. I get it for sure.
100%. We want you to take that vacation to Mexico and go lay in the sun and get the drinks delivered and not have to worry about the post or the emails or just clients in general. You are working hard to build this business so that you can vacation hard. And that's what we want for you.
Come on. Oh, we do like badges in our program. We should have like the unplugged vacation badge. That should be another one. Wouldn't that be fun? You get like a little palm tree, like pin or something. Okay. So number one, you're feeling stuck in your business. It's like, I literally, I can't grow anymore because I am the cog. Okay. And then number two, you're like, cool. A way to fix that would be bring on subcontractors, right? And so maybe for some of you, you've brought on subcontractors. And if you've done that and it's worked, awesome. For many of us, we try it and it doesn't work. Like it fails miserably. And then we get like so scared because we're like, oh my gosh, either I'm a terrible manager or I don't know how to do this, or there aren't people out there who can really replace what I do. And there's all these thoughts start going through our head of like, nope, this obviously isn't the way to scale because I can't find people that are actually going to be able to help me in the way that I need. Anybody? Yes. Have you tried this? Have you tried outsourcing? Have you tried bringing on subcontractors? Tell us what that experience has been in the comments. You've seen this a ton, right, Rachel?
Yeah, I think too, it even before you've tried and not been able to find the right people, it goes before that of, I don't know where to start. Like, I know I need to hire somebody to come in and give me an extra set of hands, but I don't know what the first step in doing that is and what that looks like. And because you don't have confidence or you have fear behind that, you don't push forward to find that. And then it just goes back to the stuck all over again of not being able to move forward. So it's also not knowing the first step to take. And then possibly maybe you tried and it didn't work out the first time.
Yeah. Or you just don't have time. You're like, I want to outsource this, but I know I need to like document my processes and I don't freaking have time to document that whole, like, you so busy working in your business that you don't have time to work on your business. Yep. Seen it, been there. Yes, 100%. Okay. And then number three, these are identifiers that you're actually ready to scale. So I want us even just like, even the phrasing of that, you're like, these all seem like problems. Hey, those problems are normal and those problems are indicators that you're ready for the next level. So congratulations for having these problems, right? Like, I think sometimes just framing it is not just like, oh, I'm terrible, I've done all these terrible things. No, like you've done something right, and you doing something right is what has actually led you to have these problems. So congratulations for having problems. Like, it's a good thing, right?
Thanks, Abby. Thank you.
Okay, so problem number three, identifier, is that honestly, you're just burnt out. You're exhausted. Has anyone, we can have honesty hour here. Has anyone thought about like legit just quitting, like throwing it all away? I'm going to go back to a 9 to 5. Like, I'm just freaking tired. Yep. Been there.
We even see that inside of Savvy Circle because it is challenging. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Like, scaling your business does take a time investment. It takes an energy investment and it's hard work, but you have to keep your eye on the prize. You have to keep your eye on what's going to happen after I do these SOPs and I get some help and support, all of those things. After I systematize my business, then you get to enjoy that time flexibility, that financial freedom, all of those things. We have to get past these hurdles. It's not always easy. Sometimes we want to give up and quit and just go back to 9 to 5, but there's so much reward on the other side of our hard work.
Yeah. So even though we talk about how to start a VA business, and hey, I still think that virtual assistants is the best way to make money online. I think that virtual assistants is the fastest way to make money online. 100%. I literally tell everyone I know, if they're like, oh, I don't like my job, I'm like, virtual assistants. Like, I shout it from the rooftops because I just think it is the best thing. Oh, for so many reasons, how to make money, how to start, to do something that's flexible, how to really help people, how to like not do MLM and make money from home, right? Like I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But for some of you, if you have one of these identifiers, right, you're feeling stuck in your business, you can't find people to help you, you're burnt out, the answer may be to quit your VA business, but not in a way that's like, I'm just throwing it all away. Like, please,
Don't do that. Don't fire the client.
To quit your VA business. So for us, we believe that means it's time for a transition, right? I see people all the time that they get tired in the current phase that they're in, and rather than like pivoting, just being like, okay, how do I make a tiny shift? How do I change a little bit to make a big result, to make a big change? They literally just crumple it up and throw it away and say, nope, and try to start over. Maybe I'll be a coach instead. Maybe I'll start an e-commerce store instead. Maybe I'll just go podcast and see if that can bring in. It's like, don't throw away the thing that you've worked so hard for, right? Like these identifiers mean that you've done something right. So how do we pivot so that you can actually get the results you want, which is time freedom, which is being able to take that unplugged vacation, right? And so quitting a VA business, and we're going to talk more about this, but it really means like moving away from just being a general VA or just doing, admin work, to really zeroing in on a specialized service, right? A signature offer, and systematizing it so that you can scale, right, Rachel? And this is what we teach. And it's so good. And you kind of you can't necessarily always get to B before you have A, right? So like, please, for everybody that's still in that like business building phase and you're like still getting clients and all the things, like keep going because it's so important. But this is kind of like that level 2 that we talk about, and it can be the absolute game changer for people. So tell us about what this looks like with like the students that we work with.
Yeah. And again, pointing back to what you just said, if you are in the point where you're launching and still growing your business, keep moving forward and pay attention, because what you're learning in these phases of your business are going to help you identify exactly what we're talking about. Like, what is your specialty? Who are you? We all have special gifts, talents, and abilities that we bring to the table. And we want to create and build businesses. That's what we're here doing, around what we love to do, where we love, when we love, and with who we choose, right? So you want to stay focused on launching and growing your business and paying attention, because when you get to this point, when any of those identifiers are showing up, then we have to look at, okay, who do I really like working with?
Yeah.
Who have I worked with that has been absolutely amazing? Was it an industry? Was it a type of person? Was it the tasks that I was doing? Am I good at something specific? Does my offer need to focus on a particular deliverable? And looking at all sides of the spectrum. And until you've been in there and actually done the thing and done the work, then you aren't able to figure that out. That's why we want you to keep going, keep moving forward, keep pushing hard, so that you learn about yourself, learn what you love doing, learn who you like to work with, learn who you don't like to work with and what you don't like to do, right? And that will help you kind of filter out and land on your specific service or industry that you can specialize in.
Yeah, I get asked the question a lot, like from new VAs, beginner VAs. They're like, I don't know how to niche down. And like, I've heard like riches are in the niches. Like and it's true. But in the beginning, we always tell people like, unless if you already have a specialty, right? Like unless if you were already a copywriter at your last job, or you were already, doing like video editing or something, like you were building websites. Okay. If you had that, yes, go ahead and specialize in that. Or if you had a specific connection to an industry. So you already have this mass connection to authors, or like you were in the wedding planning business. So you have all these wedding planning friends. Like if you already have a specific specialty, either industry or like a skill that you have, then you can niche down in that at the beginning. But we tell people in the very beginning, like, don't niche down, just start off as a generalist, because you need that experience working with different clients, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like. And you're kind of pigeonholing yourself to one specific thing when you're first starting. However, now we're like, okay, now you've been working with the different clients, right? And you see what you like and you don't like. Now it's time to narrow it down. Now it's time to actually say, this is what I want to be known for. I want to be known as like the podcast editor of all podcast editors. I want to be known as the Pinterest manager that's gonna I'm gonna be known for that, right? But a lot of times we don't know that. Like, we don't even know we like Pinterest management until we have that one client that's like, hey, can I teach you how to manage my Pinterest? You're like, yes, I will. Right. And so I think a lot of times it's not like I have to find my specialty, like your specialty will find you. Right. And, but at a certain point, once it does, like, okay, it's time. And what does that transition point look like? And that's really what we lead our Savvy Circle students through is just like, okay, how do I do this in a way that's not just crumpling up everything I've worked for and throwing it away and going from $2,000 and $3,000 months down to 0 months? No, let's like take what we have, build upon it, and make that transition in a way that leaves your reputation good for your clients, in a way that continues to bring you consistent income and grows your income, right? In a way where you can do it where you're not working. I was working 60 hours. Now I'm working 80 hours. No, like, how do we do this in a way that actually makes sense? And so that's what we're talking about here. That's what quitting your VA business is. It's a transition point, right? And it's one that we absolutely love bringing people through. So if you're stuck and you're in these growing pains, this is the process that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks. So today, next Tuesday, and then at that webinar that we have coming up as well, which if you haven't already, if you're at that point in business, then you will qualify for this webinar. And so go to thevirtualsavvy.com/apply if you're interested in that.
Yeah. I was thinking as you were talking, Abby, about one of our Savvy Circle students. I kind of bring forward a tangible example. So Suzanne is one of our Savvy Circle students, and she started inside Savvy System, and she built a business around Pinterest support services. But she realized that she really has a specialty within Pinterest. And so she worked through the Savvy Circle content and created her specialized signature offer. And she tripled her income shortly after she joined Savvy Circle, because she took what she knew she loved. Yeah. She took what she was good at. She knows she loves to work with high-end bloggers. Okay, let's create a killer signature offer all around that and systematize it so that I can scale it. And it's so cool to watch our students take what they love doing, recognizing what they love doing, and creating a signature offer around that so that they can scale.
Oh my gosh.
Such a pivotal moment. So good.
So what questions do you have about this process? Because we'll do a little bit of a Q&A time, and I'd love for you guys to go ahead and just start dropping your questions in the comments. We want to answer them because it's a weird place in business to be, and it can feel really lonely. So that first part of just knowing like, oh, this is actually normal. Like, please, if you hear nothing else, like if you're in this phase of business, I just think that we have the tendency to beat ourselves up and to feel like I did something wrong to get here. I wouldn't have these problems if I had done this right. And I just don't think that's true. I think you have these problems in your business because you did something right. And this is just the next phase. So if you hear nothing else, like, please hear that today. Okay. And that should give you confidence too, that it's like, okay, if I was able to get through, my launch phase, I was able to get through my growth phase. I learned from those experiences. It was difficult, but I learned it. Then know that you can approach scale with that same confidence, right? Like, if I did it before, I can do it again. If I faced problems, if I faced fear, if I overcame challenges in the launch phase and the grow phase, then I can face those same challenges and overcome those challenges in the grow or in the scale phase as well.
Absolutely. And you don't have to go through this alone.
Yeah.
Like, even just identifying this is what I'm going through. You have so many others here in our communities and in other communities as well that are walking through the same thing. Link arms with them and support each other and cheer each other on as you're walking through this process together. And just our series alone, it can be super helpful. Like today, talking about just identifying that, okay, I'm doing something right. It's not that I did something wrong. I just need to make a pivot. You're not going to go fire all your clients. Please don't.
Please don't.
That is not what we're saying. No, it's it's kind of shedding that identity of a virtual assistant and embracing the specialty that you are as a person. And I said earlier, we all have gifts, talents, and abilities that we bring to the table as individuals. And we want you to embrace that and create your business all around that. And then next week, we're talking with one of our Savvy Circle coaches, and we're going to talk all about doing less and making more. Who wants to do that?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Right? So just showing up for these trainings inside of this community is a way that you can link arms with each other and support each other, because you do not have to go through this alone.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like in this phase of business, like if you're in the grow phase and you have, and you want to go to scale, I think one of the biggest roadblocks is like we mentioned, like, I'm just tired, I'm burnt out. And we think it makes sense because you're like, how I went from launch to grow was by hustling harder. And it's true for most of us. Like, you worked your freaking butt off to get the clients that you got. Like, you hustled, you faced fears, and you whatever. And so I think one of the biggest roadblocks is I don't have any more hustle left. Like, I am already so tired that if scaling means hustling more, like, I'm out. And the reality is, and what we're going to be talking about next week, is that transitioning from grow to scale, transitioning into a place where you are actually able to grow your business more is not from more hustle. It's actually from more simplicity and systems and like doing less. And so if we can like collectively sigh that big sigh of relief, like scaling does not mean more hustle. Okay. So like hear that as we continue to talk over the next few weeks about scaling your business. You have these problems because you're doing something right. And two, scaling doesn't equal more hustle. So don't be scared.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
We have some good questions coming in the comments. And this is a really good one. When will we hear if we got accepted to the webinar? So if you guys didn't, if you just jumped on, we have a free training coming up, but it's only for people in the scale part of your business. It's going to be too much information overload if you're still trying to get clients. And we have trainings and free webinars for you guys if you are still trying to get clients. But this 6 steps to scale webinar is for people who are at a place in their business where they are like ready to scale, right? You already have clients, all of that. So you can apply. And when will people hear if they've been accepted, Rachel?
Give us 2 business days. So what we do is we actually do review your answers and we look through, because just like Abby said, we don't want you to have information overload. We want you to be there if you are ready, and we want to protect that time and space if you aren't ready. So give us a couple days, a couple business days, and you will get an email that you've been accepted, and you can mark your calendar and save the date.
Awesome. Madison said also, where's a good place to look for employees to add to your VA business? So, man, we could do a whole training on this, but
good title for a live, Abby.
I know, right? So, a couple of different things that I'll just shout out kind of quickly. Number one, I totally recommend starting out with subcontractors. So I recommend hiring other freelancers as opposed to employees. Employees, there's just a whole process dealing with like state taxes, dealing with like Social Security, like there's so much involved with setting up actual employees for your business that I usually tell people to wait when they're closer, like to the multi six-figure, like high 6-figure range to start working on hiring employees. So I would start with contractors. And there's so many different ways to find subcontractors. It starts with, figuring out what you're going to subcontract, starting to systematize your processes so that it's easy to hand off for someone. And then you have to find the right people, right? And so we talk about that a lot in the Savvy Circle, how to find those people. There's a new platform coming up soon, if you haven't heard about it, called Hello Savvy. You can go to hellosavvy.com to get on the wait list for that. We're launching in September, so it's going to be a great place to find freelancers. You can obviously post a free job op inside of our Savvies group. Or one of the ways and where I really started subcontracting was actually through kind of personal relationships. So a lot of times people who are subcontractors, the reason they're subcontracting is because they want to grow their own business, right? And so what will happen is you'll find this amazing subcontractor, but because they're amazing, they
Yeah.
quickly learn how to grow their own
Mhm.
business, and you have a lot of
Mhm.
turnover because they
Mhm.
just learn how to start their business really
Yeah.
quickly. So what I have found has been really, really helpful is to find people who aren't really looking to grow their own business, right? So for instance, when I was doing phone calls for
Mhm.
a State Farm agent at one point, and it was like appointment setting phone calls, and I
Mhm.
hated it. I didn't want to do it anymore, right?
Right.
So what I did, and I had young kids, right? So what I did
Mhm.
was I found a friend of mine who was she was a stay at home mom, but her kids had like grown out of the house, and she didn't really want to go to a full time job, but she was just a really nice personal person, and she went to my church, and I was like, hey, so if I told you that you could make calls like 3 hours a day and I could pay you, like
Mhm.
$100 a day to make these calls, like, is that something you'd be interested in? And she's like, yes, please. Right. And so I was just able to find somebody that like didn't really want to start their own business, but I knew had the skills.
Mhm.
And so we can dive into that a little bit more later. But that's actually one of my top
Mhm.
recommendations is to try to find people that friends from church,
Mhm.
other like stay-at-home moms, college friends, whatever, that have the skill set and you would
Mhm.
enjoy working with, but aren't
Mhm.
necessarily trying to grow their own business.
Yeah, I'm so glad you went there, Abby, because that's my number one recommendation too. Just think about the circle that you already
Yeah.
have. Who do you know in your circle of connections that would like to earn a little bit of extra cash, isn't necessarily looking to grow their own business, that you can train personally, that you trust to come alongside and support you? So
Yep.
100%, just think about your immediate circle when you're first looking.
So good. Elise says, what do you do with current clients who are still hourly when you switch to selling your new package signature offer? Oh, such a good question because there is a transition point, right?
Mhm.
So, like we said, I wouldn't just throw away your clients, right? And I also, one of the things that we usually say is to like, so you have your hourly services and you come up with your new specialized offer. You can do them simultaneously for a
Mhm.
while, right? So keep doing your hourly services and then add on this as an offer. I would start that add on with like new clients, right? So for every new client you have, talk about your signature offer. Like you don't have to sell your hourly services anymore, but
Mhm.
don't keep doing the hourly services with like or keep doing them with the clients you have. Don't sell any more of those packages. Only sell your specialized offer from here on out, right?
Mhm.
Then once you get a few clients for that, that's the point where I would introduce it to your new
Mhm.
clients, right?
Mhm.
Because the thing is, especially if you decide I'm not going to do hourly, like I'm ready to fully make that transition, you want to have some income coming from
Exactly.
some other people first
Mhm.
before you make that transition. Because the reality is, if someone is paying you, $30 an hour to write their social media, and you're like, hey, I'm switching to these social media packages. These are higher end packages. My packages
Mhm.
start at $1,000 a month. Da, 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 da. The reality is that they might not join with you.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? Like it's
Mhm.
okay if people say no to your new packages because you're making room for people who will say yes, but you
Mhm.
don't want to kick yourself in the foot. You don't want to like go there before you're financially ready to do it. So whenever you're introducing a new offer or transitioning somebody's plan with you, you always risk losing the client. So that's okay. It's a
Mhm.
risk worth taking, but you want to take it at the right time. You want to take it at the point where it's like, I'm okay if this person says no, because I already have some clients who have said yes, right? Any
Yeah.
other thoughts on that, Rachel?
Yeah, and just one quick thought is looking at and evaluating those clients that are currently on those hourly packages. Like you want to make sure that your signature offer is established, that you get some clients in there, but then also looking at, okay, how long has this client been in this hourly package? Is it the right time to transition them over? They may need a little bit more time to become an established client
Yeah.
before you move them over. So kind of looking at each individual client individually and
Yeah.
determining when that transition is right for them to make. If they've been under your belt for 2 years, right, then okay, let's move them over. Again, risk worth taking when you're moving over to that signature offer, but give your signature offer time to have roots
Yeah.
and sell a couple, right? So you have that income coming in as a safety net.
100%. Yeah. I would say this is like personal preference. I don't like to raise prices or change people's plans within the first 4 months of
Yeah.
working with them. So, like, if someone signed on with you 2 months ago, you would want to be like, "Oh, I'm raising my rates now."
Right.
It's kind of like whiplash, right? Like, you
Mhm.
don't want that. So, I think 6 months is definitely like a really great
Mhm.
place to raise rates. I would say 4 at the least would
Mhm.
be my recommendation.
Yeah, I totally agree. Several questions too in the comments about the replay. Yes,
Oh,
this will totally be available to watch the replay later.
yes, for sure.
Mhm.
How much do you pay subcontractors? So I'll give my opinion, then you can give yours. So I think the biggest thing is having your rate be high enough that you can pay subcontractors. So a general rule of thumb is that if you can pay 25 to 33% of what you're bringing in, then that still leaves you a decent amount of profit, enough to pay your expenses, enough to pay, like you are going to have to pay taxes out of your profit, right? So let's just go with like a nice, easy number. So if your rate ends up being $90 an hour, we're talking about package based pricing. So you're not going to have $90 an hour on your website,
Right,
but
right.
your hourly rate. If it takes
Mhm.
you X amount of hours to build a website and you're charging this amount, and then you
Mhm.
do the math, and that's okay, that comes up to about $90 an
Mhm.
hour, then you still know your hourly rate, even if you're doing package based pricing. So just hear that. So let's say that in your new specialized service, it averages out to about $90 an hour. Awesome. Then that would be a pretty high end service, probably. And
Mhm.
so you could afford to pay maybe
Mhm.
25, $30 an hour to a subcontractor and still be left with $60 an
Mhm.
hour, which would mean, hey, maybe after expenses and everything, you're going to be left with $50 an hour, and you think, all right, I'm going to have to pay some of that in taxes, right, of my
Mhm.
profit. So now I'm left with this amount. And so you can come in, and we have a whole calculator to help you do this in the Savvy Circle, but then you can figure out, okay, this is how I'm going to be making money. And at the end of the day, you might still be making the same amount
Mhm.
hourly than before you raised your prices. Like, our goal is that that doesn't happen, that you're making more. But at the end of the day, it's like, but if I was making $30 an hour before, and my profit after paying expenses and subcontractors is still $30 an hour. Well, why would I do it? Because you're not doing the work, right? You're making $30 an hour for somebody else to work. Like,
Yes.
and so not only does that give you time freedom, but that gives you scale freedom as well, because
Mhm.
the amount you're able to grow your business is not limited by the amount of hours you can personally work. And so
Mm.
you literally, I mean, I know someone who has 84 subcontractors, right? Like, I mean, you can grow this at that point as big as you want to grow it, because you're not capped by your time anymore.
So good. I also want to warn you not to think of, I have to pay my subcontractors this exact percentage either. Like, don't
Yeah.
get crap that it has to be this exact number, because it can fluctuate. I love Abby's example of looking at the hourly rate. Another way that you can do it is look at the flat rate. Like, maybe you have this particular service website design. Okay, let's just go with that for an example.
Yeah.
And there are particular tasks that you can very easily subcontract out. You can do it for a flat rate. Like, I will pay my subcontractor this much amount of money to get it done, and nobody's tracking time. So that's another way that you can look at it. Again, just evaluate what the total cost of the package is, how much time is taking, and then look at that flat rate as well, is another way that you can do it.
Yep. So good. All right. Um, oh, I love this. One of our coaches, Nicole. Sometimes you have to add by subtraction. Take a step back
Mm,
while you're transitioning your services to take a step forward. Oh, so good.
so
So
good. Thanks,
good.
Nicole.
Is a
Really.
subcontractor a write-off for a business? Yes. So
Mhm.
any expense for your business, right? So you pay taxes on your company's profit.
Yep.
That's what you should be paying taxes on, which is why we tell you track every single expense, right? Like, if
Mhm.
you can deduct a portion of your home office, you can deduct that computer that you bought, you can deduct yeah, a course that you buy, right? You can deduct the coaching that you do. You can deduct that the fee for that conference that you went to try to learn more about skills or to find clients.
Mhm.
Like, keep track of every single one of your business expenses. So if you make $10,000 but you spent $5,000, you don't need to pay taxes on the 10,000. You're only paying taxes on the 5,000. You pay taxes on your profit, which is why
Yep.
it's so important to keep track of all your expenses.
Yeah, I was just working on our taxes just this past week, and my accountant, printed off my sheet, and there was my subcontracting line. Like, this is how much I paid my subcontractors last year, and then you totally claim it, and it knocks the taxes down. So absolutely, 100%, you can claim it.
Yes, so good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much. And again, we will be back next Tuesday to talk about how to do less to make more. And I'm really, really excited about that. If you are anti-hustle, if you're like, I have no more hustle in me, that is a perfect place to be at, because hustling more is not how we're going to enter or thrive in the scale stage. It is about doing less to do more. Again, if you are at a point where you are making money in your business, you have clients, then go ahead and apply to our 6 Steps to Scale webinar. It's going to be a free training that we're holding, but you do have to apply to attend the training. So go to thevirtualsavvy.com/apply if you are at that phase in your business.
Awesome. Now, don't go out and quit all of your VA clients after today's. Embrace where you are, and let's move forward together.
So good. Awesome. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.